And as I alluded to earlier in the life updates, I went to the movie theaters, finally redeemed that movie pass they gave me, because it's been out for 14 days at this point, and I finally saw Fantastic Four, a little late, but better late than never. And, late showing, too, when at 9:30 got the nice recliner seats, the leather recliners, leaned all the way back.
Nice.
It was fun. So, this movie takes place in a different Earth. I think it's 828 actually, which is a direct reference to the release date of one of the original comics, August 28th, by Jack Kirby. And so it is not in the same reality as the rest of the MCU. This is a different reality, and it takes place in a retro-futuristic 60s. So it's in the 60s, but they have advanced technology, like flying cars and shit. And at this point, the Fantastic Four have already been established for a while. We completely skip past the origin story. It's basically told through a montage in the opening credits. But we are, well established into their career at this point. They've already taken on the Red Ghost and Mole Man and several other people that get name dropped throughout this. And you get to see some of those fights in the opening montage as well. So they're doing the Spider-Man thing here, where we don't have to sit through the boring origin shit again. We can just get straight into the fun bits. They're already well-known superheroes, and the public loves them. So, but everything changes when the Silver Surfer comes to town. As a herald of the end to come, the Silver Surfer shows up and tells them that Galactus is coming and that they're all basically fucked. And, to say your goodbyes now, because there is no hope. You are doomed. And so the Fantastic Four, not one to take this sitting down, decide to take the fight to Galactus and go out to follow the Silver Surfer out to space to confront him personally. And Galactus offers them a deal. I will take your unborn child in exchange for sparing your planet. Your child has great potential. It is a being of ultimate power, and basically it can free me from this curse, this infinite hunger that I have. It can take my place as the new Galactus and be cursed to eat planets forever. Give me your child, and I will spare your planet. And that is the dilemma that the Fantastic Four is faced with, and that is all the more I will tell you as far as the plot goes. Because that, needless to say, they basically do not want to do that, and it basically causes Earth to kind of turn against them, because they are we don't want to die. It becomes very complicated. So, how they handle it and everything, this movie kind of, took turns that I wasn't expecting, and it, I had a prediction about how I thought it was going to end, and let's just say I'm kind of glad it didn't end that way. It is way better than I thought it would be, and not nearly as tragic as I was expecting, considering it's leading directly into the next Avengers movie. It is, however, intense at times, especially because Galactus is the fucking size of a skyscraper and extremely intimidating.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the later half of this, the third act of this, becomes a kaiju movie. I'm not, without giving any too much away. But Galactus is performed perfectly in this game. Movie. He's voiced by Ralph Fiennes, who is well known for having a very deep voice, and he's perfect for Galactus with that voice. The rest, I will say most of the cast is actually perfect in this. Johnny Storm, perfect. Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal does a pretty phenomenal job. It works for me. I wasn't expecting it, but it works. He actually looks like the live-action version of the old cartoon version. And in this movie, there are actually scenes from the original cartoon to really kind of drive that home. you know, he really does. Pedro Pascal with the mustache and everything does look like the cartoon. So, it works. I will say, though, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm is probably the best performance in the whole movie, in my opinion. She absolutely steals the scene in every scene she's in. I think she does the best job out of all the cast members, even better than Pedro, in my opinion. And that's not to say that they're bad in comparison. It's just that she deserves top billing here, I think, in my opinion. And I do have a few nitpicks, though. You may remember, in the original Fantastic Four movie, way back the one with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans, that the Thing, Ben Grimm, had a sort of love interest, and it was this blind woman. She's in this, that potential love interest, but one, she's not blind. And two, she hardly gets any screen time, which is a shame because she's played by Natasha Lyonne from Poker Face. And
what the fuck?
And there's basically a few scenes with her that honestly could have been cut out of this movie entirely and it would have made no difference. It's like they wrote a B plot involving a potential romance between them that just ended up getting cut at the last minute. But they still left some of the scenes in. It goes nowhere, and it adds nothing. And I was disappointed in that aspect of it. Also, I don't like the casting for Ben, for the Thing. His voice is too soft for this character. It doesn't fit right to me. He's supposed to be a lot more gravelly, for lack of a better term. But I got used to it eventually. And it didn't ruin the movie for me. It was just, it took a little getting used to, though. I never quite loved it, but by the end of the movie, I was able to, it didn't bother me anymore. You know what I mean? So,
fair enough.
But still, yeah. But this movie has great action sequences, pretty good story. It goes places I wasn't thinking. The trailer, I would actually argue that the trailer for this movie is misleading and actually doesn't spoil what happens. So that's good. Yeah, because the trailer had me thinking things were going to go one way and then they end up going a completely different way. I will say there is kind of a Deus Ex Machina type way of how the day is saved, which is a tiny bit lazy on the writing department, but it worked for me. I was okay with it at the end of things, because it was starting to get to a point, not in a bad way, but it was starting to get to a point where, for me, things were starting to feel kind of hopeless, and I was like, damn, everything that can go wrong keeps fucking going wrong. And so I was actually pleasantly surprised with how they decided to wrap the movie up by the end of it. That being said, there are 2 credit scenes here, post or mid and post. Only the mid-credit scene is important. The mid-credit scene basically takes place 4 years after this and sets up the events of the next Avengers. And that is all I'll say for that. And the post-credit scene is basically just a scene from the original cartoon. So it's not, if you're going to the theaters, it's not worth sticking around for, but if you're watching it at home, you might as well let it play through. You know what I mean? Just for the nostalgia.
Yeah.
So not really anything important in the post-credit, though, but the mid-credit, super important. Trust me, the mid-credit's gonna have you be like, oh, fuck. So, yeah. Actually, pretty well done movie. I like there was some pretty good humor in here, too. There's some genuinely funny jokes, and, I gotta be honest, they finally did it. They finally made a good Fantastic Four movie,
Oh, yeah.
After that pile of horse shit that was the 2015 one with Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller. And then, the originals weren't that bad, but it's still, this one's good. I thought it was very ballsy of them to do Galactus in live action, but I think they fucking nailed it. He is intimidating, he is powerful, he is fucking huge and scary, and his voice, I could feel his voice vibrating in my ass throughout the it is, that man is a deep-voiced motherfucker.
Man,
So,
I can't wait to watch this.
yeah, and Yeah, no, it worked. It worked for me. There's a lot of space stuff in this one too, so if you like that, like the cosmic Marvel stuff, there's a lot of that here too. You know, they do spend at least a good chunk of the first act of the movie in space. So, and there's some great action there. Yeah, there are a couple of moments where I do feel like the editing is a little bit off. Like, it just randomly jumps from one scene to the next without, like, a more smooth transition. But I've noticed that's a problem with a lot of movies lately. And I think it's because they're trying to cater to the TikTok crowd. So transitions are now more jumpy and snappy than they used to be. And I don't like that. I prefer a smooth transition, thank you.
Yeah.
So... but that's just old man yells at cloud type shit, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's just, yeah. But anyways, I want to see the line that connects the dot from point A to point B, you know? Just you teleport over there. Which is funny because teleportation technology actually plays a huge role in this movie. So, but anyways, it is better than Captain America, but not as good as Thunderbolts. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Okay.
Because I gave Cap an 8 and I gave Thunderbolts a 9, so that makes sense. I will say, for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, this movie is required viewing. Reed and Sue's child, I think, is going to be important to the Avengers movie, based on how that credit scene played out. So, I do believe that this movie, I would actually say that Captain America, Thunderbolts, and this are all required viewing for the upcoming Avengers. And if I could be so bold, I would say I actually think the MCU is making a comeback. I think that this new phase, all 3 movies so far, have been genuinely good, in my opinion. And I think we're finally coming back from that lull that we had with the past couple phases. You know, give or take a few hits like Spider-Man. You know. The general consensus was that there's a lull, but people are actually saying good things about this. Fantastic Four, though, it's weird because people were, like, saying nothing about it when it first came out, but now that it's been out a while, it's like everyone's late to the party, and everyone's like, actually, this is good. Like, I think people were reluctant at first, and then word of mouth told people it was good, and then they finally went to go see it in its last couple weeks. And now it's getting, like, a late boost, you know what I mean? So,
little off topic, but still on topic. There's this freaking video going around on TikTok that they were talking about the Fantastic Four skins on Fortnite.
Oh, yeah. You guys should both be excited for this one. Honestly.
No,
I most definitely am. After hearing nothing but good things about it, I am absolutely excited to see this.
There are some very real human moments in this movie, just like there was in Thunderbolts. Like, they're starting to do this thing in this phase where they are digging deeper into, like more human problems, and it's not just about punching and kicking all the time. You know, there's some therapeutic shit going on here in these more recent movies. And this one has a lot to do. There's some really good stuff about Reed Richards always like how his need to always find the most logical answer to a problem kind of gets in the way of him having proper emotions sometimes. You know, they deal with stuff like that, and it's handled very, very well, in my opinion. Especially because of the way it's acted.
Yeah.
This clip was brought to you by The Overcast, the official podcast of Oversoul Gaming, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite podcast platforms.